The Dirty Spoon, Boston's unofficial prank headquarters. In the summer of 1988, if you wanted to start trouble in Boston without getting caught, you eventually ended up at the Dirty Spoon. Tucked away on a narrow side street in Southie, just off Broadway, the Dirty Spoon was a 24-hour greasy spoon diner that had somehow survived every urban renewal plan since the 1950s. The neon sign had been half burned out for years, so it only ever read Dirty SPOO. The booths were cracked vinyl, the coffee was strong enough to wake the dead, and the hash browns could double as hockey pucks. But the real reason people came wasn't the food. It was the back booth. That booth belonged to the Spoon Crew, a loose collection of Cheaters Tavern regulars, off-duty cops, retired longshoremen, and a few reformed or semi-reformed troublemakers who had turned pranking into an art form. Tommy from Cheaters was a founding member. Greg was the idea man. Terry provided the calm voice of reason, usually ignored. Even Brogan had been known to stop by after closing a case, though he mostly just shook his head and drank the terrible coffee. The history. The Dirty Spoon opened in 1957 as a simple late-night spot for dockworkers and cabbies. By the late 1970s, it had become neutral ground, a place where mob guys, bikers, cops, and regular Joes could sit at the counter without starting a war, as long as they kept their hands off the salt shakers. The prank started small in 1984. It began when someone swapped all the sugar packets for salt, then the salt for sugar. Then someone put hot sauce in the ketchup bottles. The staff thought it was funny. The customers thought it was hilarious. Within a year, the back booth had become unofficial headquarters for what the Spoon Crew called Operation Fuck with People, but not too much. Signature pranks around Boston and Southie. The Spoon Crew's pranks had rules. Nothing that hurt people, nothing that cost small businesses real money, and nothing that brought real heat from the cops. They specialized in maximum embarrassment with minimum consequences. Notable hits. The Velvet Lounge sign swap, 1987. The famous pink neon legs disappeared overnight and were replaced with a tasteful wooden sign that read Velvet Lounge, now featuring classical piano and herbal tea. The girls showed up for work and nearly rioted. Vinny Capello lost his mind. It took 3 days for the crew to put the legs back, after Vinny publicly promised to stop leaning on the dancers so hard. Fenway Frank swap, 1988. During a sold-out game against the Yankees, every single Fenway Frank sold in sections 12-18 was replaced with tofu dogs dyed to look identical. The complaints were legendary. The Spoon Crew watched from the cheap seats, eating real hot dogs and laughing their asses off. The Orange Line prank for one glorious morning. Every inbound sign on the Orange Line was changed to Outward Bound Adventure. Commuters were not amused. The MBTA spent 6 hours fixing it while the Spoon Crew drank coffee at the Dirty Spoon and listened to the chaos on a police scanner. Cheaters Tavern's temporary conversion, the biggest one yet. The entire exterior of Cheaters was covered overnight with fake, coming soon, Family Christian Bookstore banners. Tommy still hadn't forgiven them. How it worked. The Dirty Spoon was perfect for operations. Open 24 hours, perfect for planning sessions at 3 a.m. Neutral territory. Even Vinny's guys and the Iron Horsemen would stop in for coffee without starting trouble. The waitresses, especially Old Betty, were in on it and would tip the crew off if anyone suspicious was asking questions. Pat, the owner of Cheaters, eventually gave up trying to stop them and just asked for advance warning so he could prepare. Brogan had a complicated relationship with the Spoon Crew. He didn't officially approve, but he also never stopped them. Once, after they swapped all the beer taps at the Velvet Lounge so every pint came out bright green, he walked into the Dirty Spoon, ordered coffee, and simply said, "You boys are going to get yourselves killed one day." Tommy grinned, "Only if we run out of ideas." The current state, late 1988. The Spoon crew was at the height of its powers. The arrival of Slick Eddie Malone and the Velvet Vipers had given them fresh targets. The Princess of Pelvic Perversion's visits to cheaters had inspired even wilder ideas. Rumors were already circulating about Phase 3, something involving the entire combat zone and a lot of pastel paint. Brogan sat in the back booth one rainy night, Dave on his shoulder, Marmalade under the table, listening to Tommy pitch the next big job. "You in, Brogan?" Tommy asked. Brogan took a sip of the terrible coffee and smiled the tired smile. "I'm not helping you idiots, but I'm also not stopping you. Just try not to burn the city down." Dave chattered excitedly. Marmalade flicked his tail in approval. The Dirty Spoon kept serving terrible coffee and even worse ideas. And Boston kept waking up to find its signs missing, its beer strangely colored, and its toughest guys wondering who the hell was behind it all. Some legends are born in war. Some are born in dive bars. And some are born in the back booth of a greasy spoon that never closes. The Spoon crew was writing its own chapter, one ridiculous prank at a time. The end.